This is Boomer Life on CL 650.
Listen to the family ride. Listen to the music on the radio.
And welcome back to Boomer Life on CL 650. I'm Zach Spencer. We're talking about something that affects not only the person that is affected, but everybody around them, their family. NexGen Hearing and hearing loss and hearing aids. We have Mandy Fish here, registered audiologist and owner of NexGen Hearing Clinic in West Vancouver at Bellevue and 24th, right?
That's right.
And our resident expert, Dr. Ted Venema, PhD.
Post-hole digger.
It's always great to have Dr. Venema here. He explains complex things. He makes them so simple, and it's great that you're here, both here today. So we've kind of gone through the steps in the different segments today for those who are just tuning in now. The first segment, we talked about someone comes into NexGen location, and they're going through their case history, who they are, what their hearing loss is, and lifestyle and all those sorts of things. The next step is getting tested, all the different forms of testing. The third step is talking about the different options available and getting them set up with their very first hearing aid and leaving. And then the next step is them coming back, I'm guessing, right?
That's
and how
right.
often, once they've been fitted with a hearing aid, do they come back?
So in the beginning, once we fit the hearing aid, I forgot to mention that we spend a fair amount of time counselling about the hearing aids and the maintenance and looking after that. Thereafter, we would book their next appointment for a week later. So starting off, they would wear the hearing aids at a more comfortable listening level, so not at their target setting.
Now, do you also ask them to try them for a few hours and take them out? Does it take a while to get used to wearing them?
It certainly does. It takes actually a couple of weeks to a couple of months to adapt.
Right.
So I encourage my clients to wear them at least 4 to 6 hours a day, every day, in quieter settings. And then once they're comfortable in those settings, to expand the listening situations to more challenging listening situations where there's noise and more than one speaker. So this is where we guide them and building up to that, comfort level where they would wear them all the time.
So at that first 1 week out, do you adjust the volume up a little bit?
We certainly do. We encourage our clients to, make notes of their observations. The more information they give us, the more we can help them. So they may say that a certain sound or certain sounds are a little loud. With digital hearing aids and compression, which Ted explained earlier, we're able to make significant adjustments for sounds that you find are a little sharp or a little too soft. We can maximize speech. We can make noise management a little more aggressive in certain environments. There's a lot of flexibility. And as the client gets used to hearing better and wearing the hearing aids more, so we would increase the amplification or the volume for their specific hearing loss closer to their target setting.
Now, how many visits? So you've got a 1 week, do you have a 2 week and 3 week? Is that typically how it goes? And how many do you usually have before someone's happy?
That's a good question, and there isn't a specific number. For every person, there's at least, I would say, 3 to 4 appointments, but some people require more and some people require less. Some adapt very easily to the process and have a very positive attitude, and others take a little longer. There may be an example of someone that has waited longer to try hearing aids, and as a result, they may take a little longer to adapt. We would generally see those clients more regularly than the first that I mentioned. So everyone is unique and individual, and we would base the number of appointments on the particular client's needs.
Do you ever change the device? Say this just isn't working for their lifestyle, and we'll try a different brand. Do you do that?
Absolutely. We might try a different brand or we might try a different style. For example, if we make a recommendation that a small over-the-ear hearing aid with a thin little tube that goes into the ear, we feel based on the configuration of their hearing loss that would work well for them and we think they'd handle that. But then they come in and say, perhaps I'm really struggling with putting this in and I've had a couple of weeks assistance and you guys have been great practicing with me, but I'm still struggling. We may, for example, change the style to an in-the-ear style or a custom molded device. And absolutely, and this brings us to the point that we have a 90-day trial period for this exact reason.
Well, I wanted to bring up, we've gone through the steps, who are you, what's your background, hearing test, hearing fitting for the hearing aid, come back and see us 2 or 3 weeks in a row. So we're up to, say, 3 weeks now, and how much has the client spent?
Zero.
Not a penny.
Not a penny.
And who gives somebody hearing aids worth maybe a couple $1,000s and says, off you go, thanks for coming?
NexGen Hearing.
Because that, I think, is quite remarkable.
Mm-hmm.
It is. And once again, that client has made the commitment to try hearing aids, and they're taking this seriously. And we've also at that stage developed a trust between the hard of hearing individual and the clinician, the audiologist, or the hearing instrument practitioner. So we trust that you will come back and see us and have your best interests at heart.
So that's the 21. You have different levels. Maybe Dr. Venom can talk about how it works for payment, right? And,
Well,
and the trial period you
That's
have.
that's the Better Hearing Challenge is
Okay.
where we are right now.
Right.
At the end of the 21 days, so the person has seen the clinician after 1 week of having been fit with the hearing aids, after 2 weeks, with minor tweaks, adjustments, and counseling, etc. At the end of the third week, or your person comes in at 21 days, that's when the client decides whether to pay for the hearing aids. And if he or she does not want to continue, return the hearing aids. If you do want to continue, you pay for the hearing aids, but then you have an additional 69 days. Last time I looked, 21 and 69 equals 90.
Right.
So you have an additional 69 days to continue using the hearing aids and come on in and see us when you have questions, okay? And at the end of that 90 days is when you make a final commitment as to whether you wanted to keep the hearing aids
Now, from 21,
or return.
So from 21 to 90, what can you do in those 69 days? Can you exchange them? Can you return them entirely? What can you do?
You can return them entirely. You can exchange them. We're here to walk the walk with you. Hearing aids it's not quite the same as getting glasses. It's just because when you're getting vision problems, light isn't hitting the back of your eye correctly. So you go to the dollar store and you get glasses to do the job. Hearing loss is a little different. It's like the back of your eye itself is damaged, okay?
Right.
So as Mandy has aptly said, hearing aids take commitment, they take counseling, they take explanation, and when you walk out with information, you are walking out empowered because you have now knowledge at your fingertips as to the hows and whys. We're in the hearing health care profession.
Now, Mandy, you have somebody who's gone through the initial consultations, come and had the tweaks, maybe come back a few other times, maybe even switched a device. They're at the 90 days and they're hearing, they're comfortable with their hearing aid. How many people turn around and walk away? I bet you almost nobody, because they go back to that initial discussion we talked about. Why didn't I
come earlier?
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you quite honestly that the people that are motivated to try hearing aids rarely return hearing aids. I honestly, and that is so
because it
important.
changes their life so much.
Absolutely.
Now, what are some of the anecdotes you have of maybe you can talk about some of your clients that have come in, and what have they said, and how has it changed their life, and do they feel more motivated to go out to maybe walk and exercise, and does it change their life in other ways?
Absolutely. One of the biggest areas is it reduces social isolation. It reduces depression. It allows them to be incorporated in family gatherings and get the punchline of jokes and not just sit there, with blinders on, nodding and smiling as if they're understanding everything. And,
well, you see sometimes an older person sitting at a table full of people during the holidays, and they're sitting there and they miss all the conversation, and they really are isolated.
Yeah. It's
because
sad.
it's a bit embarrassing for them too that they can't keep up.
And they know that, and so they don't want to miss the punchline of the joke. And so the reaction is, you guys go on out and have a good time. I'll stay back
home
and read a book.
You're right.
That hearing loss is isolation.
So back to the anecdotes.
Yes.
How has it changed for many clients?
Well, yesterday, for example, I had a lovely client who's been with me for years, and she's got 8-year-old hearing aids. They're really not working well. She has a severe hearing loss, and her husband was sitting there. Once again, we always encourage family members to come in because hearing loss affects the entire family dynamic. And she said to me, Mandy, I've become depressed. I'm really not that social anymore. And I said, well, it's no wonder you're not hearing well. I encourage you to try new technology. And her husband was completely motivated for her to try technology. He said, you've lost your sense of humor. You used to be so outgoing. You're not outgoing anymore. She said, well, I don't like going out anymore. And he said, it's because you're not hearing. And when she first got hearing aids, they really changed her life. She came in smiling, and it was just upsetting to see her revert back to being more isolated and depressed.
And as you mentioned earlier, it's slow and progressive, and it's not like a light switch goes off.
No.
It's just this gradual
Yep.
decrease of hearing.
Absolutely. So that's one example. I have so many anecdotes. We don't have enough time. That's another whole story.
Right.
But one of the incredible campaigns we did at NexGen Hearing was getting testimonials from our clients. And they had the most beautiful things to say. A lot of musicians that are now enjoying hearing music again. And hearing aids now have accessories that come with the hearing aids that work wirelessly
Yeah,
through
we didn't
Bluetooth.
even get into
We didn't
that.
even get to
Yeah,
that.
there's-
That enhance your hearing even more in, situations where distance is an issue, where significant noise is an issue, and where reverberant surfaces are an issue.
We have less than a minute to go. I can't
Yeah.
believe that the hour has gone by so quickly. Now, Mandy, you're going to mirror what Dr. Venema usually says. What do you say to somebody who has hearing loss or somebody in the family? What do you say to get them in?
Get your hearing tested. We want to get you in as soon as possible. We've made it super easy. You can go online to our website, NexgenHearing.com, spend 5 minutes from the comfort of your home and do an online hearing test. Thereafter, you can even speak to a consultant online and have a virtual consultation from the comfort of your home. We really want you to get your hearing screened and tested. There is no charge to get your hearing tested at any of our clinics. And the sooner you do this, the better.
I don't think we can say it any better
I
than that.
couldn't. I know that. Thank you so much.
Well, with that, we'll wrap up. That's the voice of Mandy Fish, registered audiologist and owner of NexGen Hearing Clinic in West Vancouver. It's been a real joy having you on. I could just listen to your accent all day. I just love it. And then we have our resident expert, Dr. Ted Venema from NexGen Hearing. Thanks to both of you.
You bet.
Thank
It's been a lot
you.
of fun. Hopefully you
Great.
come back. I'm going to count on it, Mandy. That was a lot
Sure,
of fun.
Zach. Thank
All
you.
right. That's all the time we have for this edition. I'm Zach Spencer. We'll speak to you next time on CL 650.